Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of Young Shopping and the Internet, to the ROCCAT Legacy of the Void Championships. We've sorted out the first few matches. It's time to find out which one of our two upper bracket players will become the first grand finalist of an offline Legacy of the Void StarCraft tournament. This is Solar, the man who's been ripping things apart. He's up against Firecake, the last Frenchman in the tournament. Can he overcome the overwhelming odds?
Yeah, it's a big moment for Firecake, and I definitely believe that he has the chance to do so. But Solar is by far the best player in Legacy of the Void currently, and he's looked unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable at this tournament.
And Solar doesn't just look unstoppable here, he also looks unstoppable in practice on that Korean server, not even using a barcode and rocking win rates.
Yeah.
So high in every single matchup on the Korean server. I believe it was 80% in every matchup, and that includes ZvZ. Firecake, he's got a mountain to climb here.
He's good, but he's not 80% every matchup.
On
Top Korean
on
server,
Korea.
good.
It's
Okay.
insane how good Solar is.
And it's how much work he's put into being so good in Legacy. He played almost from the very beginning of the beta. He said yesterday in an interview, 1,500 games already, which, you know, over the last month or so, a little bit longer, that's a lot of action.
Yeah, the game came out 18 days ago, for those of you curious. He's been playing the beta nonstop. He's crushed almost all the tournaments. He's the last guy that you want to run into. It's really been awesome just to watch him because he's ripping everybody apart. Everyone's trying new things here and there. We've had some cheeky builds from a lot of these players that maybe weren't at the top mechanical level. But Solar, every time he comes onto this stage, he says, no, this is how you actually play it. Thanks for the wins. I'll see you at the grand finals.
He makes it look easy, and he does everything perfect. And we only saw him lose one map, which was against Parting. And Parting, to win that game, had to force so many errors out of Solar.
That was one of the best games of the tournament just because Parting somehow found a way to not die.
Yeah, and it was like overwhelming Solar, constantly going at him.
And he still got wrecked in that whole match, too.
Yeah.
Firecake definitely also has something to bring to the table, though. One of the offline events that Firecake won was in France, but it was against True. And I believe that he won 3-0, which is a very, very strong result. And quite possibly, if he can keep doing well in ZvZ at these offline tournaments, could happen.
It's still a little while ago, though. That was back in Poitiers.
I believe so,
Yes.
yeah.
It's strange how he's like the forgotten Frenchman. Like for the O Nation Wars, the team that was it consisted of Lilbo Marine Lord. Then people were whining because Stefano took Petit Drogo's place. I think they should have been whining because he took Firecake's place, because he's doing so well right now.
Yeah, and we have an updated bracket to show you guys. For those of you just joining us, we've played out a few of the series so far today. We had Parting defeat TY in what is arguably the best of 5, best series of Legacy of the Void ever played so far. I would put it right up there, number 1. Showtime just clocked Nurchio, and he'll be playing up against Parting later today. But Solar, who already wrecked Parting, who's actually wrecked everybody he's played against in this tournament, is going up against Firecake, who was able to defeat Nurchio. Nurchio, who's now out of it. For those of you wondering what else is coming up, of course, after this, we will have Parting versus Showtime, that PvP series. And then we're just going to go on. We do have an accelerated schedule, so if these matches are short, quick, and brutal, we won't make you wait too long before we get into the next one.
And Zerg vs. Zerg plays out really fast, actually.
Really, really fast.
Really fast.
Some of these series ended in less than 10 minutes.
Was it Bly versus some other Zerg?
Lambo.
Bly versus Lambo was like 20 minutes.
For a best of 5 with 4 games, and it was 20 minutes long.
You wouldn't believe some of these best of 3 series as well.
Yeah.
Just like, 6 minutes, we're done.
Yeah.
Goodbye. So we have a potential for a lot of crazy action here, especially just considering, you know, Solar's execution. As good as he is at strategies, as much as we know he's great at pushing the meta, he's just a super mechanically strong player. You know, the DreamHacks that he's won were also off the back of ZvZs. Does Firecake have any edge?
Any edge?
That would be the preparation.
Maybe.
That he is the student of the master, and he knows Solar.
He knows
how he plays.
But also the fact that Solar thinks it's lucky, like that can start to play with you if you believe you get lucky.
I'm not sure though, despite Solar being a little not so much of a fan of the ZvZ matchup, maybe not having the confidence, still doesn't change the numbers.
You're still usually
change
fine.
The fact.
Yeah.
Solar with that 80% ZvZ win rate on the Korean server.
how lucky can it be?
He doesn't lose a lot, you know?
Yeah, how lucky can it be when you're the one winning it pretty much all the time, you know?
I want to have an 80% win rate in coin flips.
Yeah, the mental game doesn't always live up to the numbers. Solar has the reason to be confident.
I think Sean put it best. He said the matchup's a bit of a coin flip, and then you just don't really ever lose it. So it's a pretty heavily weighted coin, it would seem.
The Solar coin.
Yeah, the Solar coin. There you have it. So actually, you know what? We'll talk a little bit more about this match. We're going to hear from these players on the main stage. They are with Smix. Let's hear what they have to say before they get into this match.
Thank you very much, Nathanius, for our first match of the top 4. It will be Solar versus Firecake. Of course, Solar having been the undisputed favorite headed into our first Legacy of the Void tournament, whereas we have Firecake, who has been sort of the underdog dark horse. It is sure to be a David versus Goliath match, but first let's hear from Solar. Solar, you've had an astounding tournament so far, only losing one map, and that was to Parting. Throughout the tournament, you've talked about ZvZ openly and expressed how much you dislike it. However, if you want to make it to the grand finals, Firecake stands in your way, another Zerg player. How do you feel about your chances on making it there?
I'm worried about some good Europe Zergs like Fly and Nerchio in ZvZ, but I didn't expect that Firecake beats Nerchio, but he did it. So I'm super confident because there's no Nerchio or Fly.
All right, then, Firecake, you heard what Solar had to say. On the flip side, when I spoke to you yesterday, you said that you actually studied Solar's VODs in trying to learn about Legacy of the Void and get better. Now, if you want to make it to the grand finals here, you must defeat that senpai that you learned from. So what are your thoughts?
Every time I played against a Korean in finals, I won. So today I will win, and I will go to grand final, and I will win again.
All right then, confident words. Players, please shake hands and then you can head back to your booths. Only one of these players will make it to the grand finals from this winner's bracket match. Will it be Solar or will it be Firecake? We'll find out soon enough. Nathanius, back to you.
All right, this is it. Can he defeat Senpai? Boys, that's the real question.
I'm liking Firecake interviews, by the way. Like, yesterday he was really funny, and today he seems super confident and like a changed man. And you don't really talk the talk unless you're going to back it up or think you can back it up. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this match now.
Jens?
Just the confidence is unreal here from Firecake. And he knows how Solar plays. You know, we just have to see if he can live up to the talk.
I don't really know honestly what to say, because according to everything that we've talked about, including Solar's win rates, this should still be, you know, it should still be a curb stomp, right?
I mean, we're all waiting around here, and we're hoping that Firecake can put up a fight. You know, we're hoping that anybody can put up a fight against Solar.
I like that we've run out of like ways to analyze this. We're like, we just have to see if he can live up to what he says he can do. And this guy Solar, man, taking a look at these players, he is so good. Those win rates are disgusting. And like you said, he's easily one of the most, if not the most experienced player with Legacy.
I'm just going to burst everyone's bubble right now. It's going to be a 3-0 for Solar. I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to be brutally honest. Firecake doesn't stand a chance. My predictions have been on point so far, and I'm going to kill the hype right here. It's over.
Well, thank you, Apollo.
Very, very useful.
Thanks, Sean.
I don't know what to do now or say.
I had so much fun before you came along.
You guys are going to...
I think Solar is going to destroy Firecake here. Honestly, I believe there is a small chance, like there is in any game of StarCraft, obviously, but Solar is on another level. I have enjoyed how far Firecake has come in this tournament, but I do not see him going to the grand final this way. If he falls down, he's going to lose to Showtime anyway, but let's be honest, I don't think this is going to be close.
This reminds me a lot of when Impact came up against Jaedong, because Impact was the guy that loved Jaedong. They were even in that documentary a long time ago. He studied from Jaedong and everything. And then when it got to the match, everybody thought Jaedong was going to win with this ZvZ. But Impact actually ended up beating him.
But then Impact went up against Life. And
you do remember.
Solar is that type of Life.
He is. He's an absolute monster right now.
I think it's safe to say Solar is the final boss of this tournament. The game is starting, though, guys. We're going to jump into it. Let's see if Firecake can make the dream a reality. Snoot to Muslim, good luck.
Thank you, Nathanius. So getting right on into this game, the winner bracket final of this DreamHack And spawning in the top left as our red Zerg, it is the final boss. It is Solar.
Representing that Samsung Galaxy swag. Good luck, have fun. Firecake is called. It's here in the bottom. It is Firecake, playing as the blue Zerg. Vertical positions here on Ruins of Ceres, so this will be a very, very honest game. Both players will be able to scout each other out early on, and both players also going for that trademark macro play. Both of these players very, very macro-oriented in their styles, but Firecake, though, playing even more safely than Solar does here.
Against a player that's so confident, such as Solar, he can do anything, and setting off the pace of a series is very important. So if Solar was to get a cheap, nasty win here, not predicting that, hey, my opponent has a 33% chance to spawn vertically, and going for not being scouted so quickly, that could be nice. But here, yeah, we have a spawning pool and a gas for Firecake, so...
Yeah, very conservative opening here from Firecake, but the gas timings are very similar here, but Solar should be the one coming out on top in this build order exchange. And Firecake, he made this decision even after scouting that there was vertical positions here, and you know, the Overlords saw each other, I believe, so he's really, really playing this out as safely as he possibly can.
And that shows a lot of confidence, because when you're against somebody that you deem better than you, usually take little risks here and there.
Yeah, it absolutely does show a bit of confidence, but does it also reveal a little bit of weakness that you're afraid of a one-base play?
It does.
Could it be?
It can reveal so much, or it can reveal so little, but either way...
It's so hard to know.
Yeah, either way these players go into it, they're both in the winner bracket final. They've both done extremely well so far. And as Firecake talked about, this is the player that he studied, this is the player that he learned from.
Yeah, and it could be that one of the things that he studied could have been one of those one-base plays from Solar. Like, we never know. We don't know what Firecake knows, how much he has seen. So both players now going into that traditional circling speed. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Baneling Nest from Firecake, as he likes to play ever so safely. Not putting it down just yet, but I'm sure we'll see it go down very, very shortly.
Ooh, and a very early Baneling. In fact, look at how mirrored these builds are from this point on.
Very, very similarly timed here. But this is a very standard straight-up game also. Solar going for those initial scouting Zerglings a little bit sooner than Firecake, but the worker counts are very, very similar, and we can see how the hatch first has a little worker advantage compared to that pool expansion that Firecake went for.
Yeah, even though Firecake is one worker ahead right now, he gets them a little bit later, so economically...
Close. Look at this though, Solar with the first big interesting choice here, going for that third base. Might even get a drone kill here.
Oh, and he gets the drone kill.
That's a huge blow there to Firecake. Losing a drone like that's not something you want to have happen. It's not the biggest of deals, but it's kind of a moral victory there for Solar.
Exactly, that's what I was going to get at there. Even though it's only 50 minerals, you may think, hey, you know, that's not that big of a deal.
Turn up to heat.
Oh, man.
12 Zerglings in production, and those two Zerglings, they were suicided at the front, so there's no possibility for Solar to morph those two Zerglings into Banelings offensively. But with these 14 Zerglings, he should be able to have complete map control at the very front of his base, and that's something he's going to need with that third base being so exposed.
Firecake, though, making the right call here, still making Zerglings, so he's
there's the two Banelings. Solar and morphing those two Banelings at the Watchtower, so he will have both Zerglings and Banelings at his disposal, and Firecake going for the defensive Banelings of his own. Very smart choice here.
Now going right for that hatchery, and if he does get the hatchery, he'll have a significant lead here. The Banelings are calling in one from either side.
Going for the sandwich. One Baneling from the right and one from the left. This is going to get awkward real fast for Firecake. He has to maneuver perfectly here.
Oh, a nice micro so far by both of them. No real detonations going off. In fact, no Banelings going off at all.
This is just the softest type of pressure here from Solar. And Firecake, he was forced into many additional links, despite the fact that the Zerglings he has on the field, they're not really accomplishing much right now.
No, but this is really impressive control by both players, especially Firecake.
But the difference is, Solar, he's extending his lead in the work account. He's making the Roach Warren, and he's making more drones than Firecake has been. Look at the work account, 40 to 34, 42 to 34. Solar, he's so far ahead in drones just by making these small moves. A big explosion there on the Zerglings.
That was a huge explosion on the Zerglings there.
Banelings coming in though. And a big explosion, counter explosion there from Firecake, removing so many of Solar's Zerglings from the map here.
Should Solon... Oh.
Possibly another one there.
Oh, wow. Nice micro by Firecake. Actually manages to get the Baneling.
Firecake has the army lead here. All of these circlings might be able to pay off, but Solar has these defensive Banelings.
Oh, man. Banelings.
Oh, this is going to get sketchy, though, because all of the Banelings from Solar are removed. The Firecake is going to jump on this location.
But look how many Lings are on the way
Even
for Solar.
drones having to join the fight, but wow, beautiful pullback there. Will Firecake be able to pick them off? 2 red drones. Those 2 drones in the red. Perfect control from Solar, saving those.
And now Solar is on the counter-aggression all of a sudden. In fact, he has a worker deficit now, so behind all this, Firecake was droning up. He's actually getting out roaches now to defend, so they're both reading each other very, very well here.
Yeah, both players going at it with these armies, and Firecake behind this, he's actually been the one to get a very healthy drone lead, so now Firecake has a very, very good worker count, but the army supply is still lagging a tiny bit behind, and Solar is the one player to start the lair first.
Firecake marching some nifty Banelings across the map, so I'm wondering what they're actually going to... Oh,
look at how active these players are with their armies. It's insane.
This Baneling. Oh, they do sneak in, but they are sniffed out there. So Solar does go for the retreat here.
Very good awareness there from Solar. Could have lost all of those Zerglings to those single Banelings, but was able to dodge them.
Look at these production tabs. They're so similar. Getting their lairs roughly the same time, getting their +1 roughly the same time. The drone counts also haven't really skimmed too far apart. Always within 5 of each other.
What does he see? He sees that there is no gas in the main base, but he does know that the lair is on the way.
Look at Firecake's drone counts.
Rocketing ahead in drones. This could be a real problem for Solar over time.
Yeah, if he doesn't punish this soon or catch up soon, he's going to be in trouble. And it looks like he's trying to play the catch-up game here.
But Solar supply, though, he has the big army. Is he going to force Firecake into something that he doesn't want by having this sizable army? I'm not so sure. Both players are reaching their target drone counts for 3 bases, and Firecake is actually taking a 4th before Solar is.
Roach speed does start for Solar here. But it starts with Firecake as well, and he even starts his +2 almost immediately.
Firecake is really impressive here, but a very cute move from Solar as well, going for a Baneling drop potentially towards the mineral line here of Firecake. It's such a slow one as well.
I love this. He's going to drop the Banelings in, and hopefully during a fight, he's going to run them into the main base mineral line.
The Ravagers of Solar are also on the field, picking off Firecake's vision with those Overlords being removed from the map. Those Ravagers, of course.
Firecake has to be so active.
Firecake is distracted, but that was not the best hit. That could have been so much better for Solar.
He could have ran right into the middle of that mineral line.
A little bit of a missed opportunity there, as Solar was being active with the Zerglings in the middle of the map and not paying the best of attention.
Or
but
maybe
look at the supplies. Look at the supplies, though. Solar has such a massive army at this stage of the game.
But look at the bank for Firecake. It's
Firecake
not as if
doesn't
he
have
can't
larva.
start an army.
Larva has Firecake doesn't have any larva to spend his resources with. He has to hit those injects, and I'm pretty sure that the reason why he doesn't have those larvae is because Solar is just being so active with his army, and Firecake's not keeping up with that multitasking right now. He has to catch up with those injects.
Also, look how many Overlords he's having to produce at once. He's been losing Overlords because of these Ravagers, but also...
And those Overlords also use a lot of the precious larva. As you know, going from Heart of the Swarm to Legacy of the Void, the larva count per inject was reduced from 4 to only 3. So injects are even more important now if you don't have those macro hatcheries.
But in the blink of an eye, Snoot, Firecake actually takes the lead in supply. So these guys, they're neck and... This is the closest we've seen Solar in this tournament within regards to his ZvZ.
Firecake just wanted to make it look a little closer, and very nice positioning here as well. Denying these 4 Banelings from doing anything, that's a lot of resources wasted for Solar, but also a little bit of a distraction.
And here comes Solar. This is a very large army. Corrosive Vials. Taking out Solar's Overlords. And look at the supply. 192 for Firecake, 187 for Solar.
One very important thing to mention here before this battle begins is that Firecake's +2 upgrade is far ahead. It's about to kick in soon, but the fight is actually happening before that. Lots of shots going down. Neither player really willing to engage here. But so far, look at the supplies. Firecake has the better bank. He has the better upgrade than +2 complete.
Oh boy, and look at those Overlords constantly following that army. He knows every step that Solar's making here, and it looks like Firecake's the one wanting to be aggressive here. And he's the one with +2 finish, so this is the right move by Firecake.
Little bit of a difficult engagement here. Solar backing off, and a very cool roach drop here in the main.
Wow, and it's
Solar's multitasking is being tested here.
It's Firecake making the moves, and here, a huge fight between the two of them.
Wow, big engagement going down here. The Ravagers on both sides still alive. Couple of corrosive bots hitting the blue roaches again for Firecake. But look at the supplies.
Firecake's taking it.
Firecake's doing it.
He's actually pushing Solar back, and with the harass in the main base too from Firecake. This is really sick play from him.
Do not take Firecake for granted here. Looking very strong in this game, using the +2 timing to his advantage, having that upgrade chained earlier than his opponent here, and having huge success with it. Solar's Baneling harass with the Overlord drops didn't do much. Firecake says, you know what, you're not supposed to drop Banelings, you're supposed to drop Roaches, and he's so far ahead in this game right now.
Look at the banks as well, Snoot. Firecake's almost at 200 supply, Solar's only at 170.
A little bit of an awkward exchange here.
But he also has the bank to reproduce. He's had 70 drones the whole time. He's had a superior drone count.
And it seems like we were wrong about the larva situations. Firecake did have the larva, he just didn't spend it, and all of a sudden, he was ahead in supply, like you said. Now, Firecake is playing a beautiful game here against Solar.
And there's so much harass going on by Firecake too, both using those Overlord drops to great success.
And there's one thing I want to say here. This is not one of those coin flip CVCs. This is as macro as it gets.
And micro.
Firecake. And micro. And Firecake is doing it here.
We saw both these players
very
dodging
ambitious.
Ooh, big bios hit.
I'm
looks
not
like
sure.
Solar's got a better concave here,
A little bit of awkward move commanding from Firecake, a huge mistake.
Oh, he went right into that concave there, but still, somehow, he's harassing on the right side.
I cannot stress how much of a mistake that was. You never want to move command like that. A massive mistake here, putting Solar back in a good position again.
Oh, but Firecake, his bank, it's still being untouched here.
And this is such a big map. Simply attacking into your opponent here is a very, very difficult task. You have to be so precise.
Look at these production tabs again. Burrow, +1 carapace on the way. These players, they're mirroring each other right now. This is a huge battle going down. And Firecake, he's fighting with quite a lot of reinforcements still joining. But here, the battle's going on.
Corrosive Biles going down, not really hitting much. Great pullbacks here for Firecake. Supply is so even, it's difficult to tell who's actually winning this fight. The Ravager count is so superior. Where is Firecake's army?
Oh, it looks like Solar with his true strong play, and even sharking towards him.
He has more Ravagers, he has more Ravagers, he has more damage, he has those Corrosive Biles available to him. And thanks to that move command Firecake used earlier, by mistake, Solar is now in between Firecake's bases, pushing forward despite looking to be in such a horrible situation. Now he's the one with the lead.
Oh, and it does look like Solar's managing to do it, but
massive
he is trapped.
Corrosive Biles there, making all the Roaches drop deep down to the red.
He's fighting against the reinforcements, though, of Firecake, but is it just too much? Solar, reinforcements coming in now. He's destroying Firecake at this point in time.
I have to say, Firecake played out the early game so beautifully, building an advantage for himself, and then the one big mistake, and Solar pouncing on it so well with great engagement. Solar showing that even if you're behind in CVC, there are ways to come back.
Great play by both these players, and for a short while, I was worried for Solar there, as Firecake did showcase some very strong fundamental play.
I have to say, the move command definitely factored into everything that happened here, but it's also important to note that attacking on a map as big as Ruins of Ceres, I'm not sure if it would have looked all too differently if that move command didn't happen. It's very tough to tell, but definitely a big mistake from Firecake. I don't know what would happen if it didn't, you know. It's very unfortunate here. It could be a little bit of nerves playing in.
Could be nerves,
but
could be anything.
But Firecake's showing that he has it. He has it in the early game. He has it in that big build-up leading up to those big fights. And to be fair, except for that one big mistake, he didn't look bad in those fights at all.
No, micro-wise even, early on with the Banelings and the Lings.
Absolutely.
He wasn't making mistakes. He was using a single Ling to track down those Banelings, dodging the Banelings of Solar.
And we see the replay.
And at this point, Firecake was significantly ahead. He has the +2 weapon upgrade, and he's hunting down Solar. He has a way huger bank at this point too. And watch how they both dodge the Biles. It's all about dodging the Biles. Look at that movement from the blue Berserker there.
Firecake shows that he has so much experience with this. And at this point, we were so confident that Firecake would have a sizable advantage going into this. But then the unfortunate move command happened a little bit later, and Solar, I was very surprised by him going for this engagement. It's so far out in the open. It's so far for Solar's reinforcements to actually get down here. But the very important thing to note here is the Ravager count. You can see the difference. Solar had perhaps 7 or 8 of them, whereas Firecake, having lost so many from earlier on, only was down to 2. It was much like the Roach Hydra versus Mass Roach dynamic. If you have a greater number of Hydralisks, or just a few, and have the Roaches to tank for them as well, make sure that the Roaches don't jump on the Hydras, or in this case, the Ravagers, the player with the better composition usually wins. And Solar, he kept his cool, was able to come back, stayed in the defensive position exactly when he had to, and was able to bring it back.
Yeah, as cost efficient as Ravagers are, Roaches are, they're very, very cheap. They've got a lot of health, but their damage it's not half as high as the Ravager, but also the fact that you also have to move out of the Corrosive Bile, that's damage not being done. And so with that Corrosive Bile, it's not just about dealing damage, it's about reducing the damage that your opponent's dealing to you. So the fact that he had none of them,
the roaches have to move away from the Corrosive Biles, and when they move away, they also lose a little bit of their damage time.
Anyhow, carrying on with this series, first game went to Solar, spawning in the bottom left. It is Solar.
Playing here on Dusk Towers, this is the map choice of Firecake. Let's see if he can bring it back. Here in the top, current hope in this tournament, still in the winner's bracket, Firecake. Proving how strong of a player he is.
It was really fantastic play from Firecake too. He's the player that we've counted out time and time again.
So many times.
And Solar even said right before in the interview, he said, well, Firecake beat Nurtio, now I'm happy because now I'm going to win. Now I'm not playing Nurtio. And I mean, after that first game, Solar's got to be a bit like, wow, I got to show my opponent a little bit more respect because he had me. He really did.
Yeah, up until that one mistake, was definitely looking very grim for Solar. Both players once again going for the macro openings here. Hatch gas pool, it's fairly standard, but at the same time also a little bit risky. We saw earlier in this tournament many Circle players be eliminated by aggressive one-base openings, but both players staying true to their styles, playing hatch first with that macro style.
This first game in the series, that was just a perfect example of how you play ZvZ, like the most standard ZvZ you have.
All about them roaches and ravagers.
And the initial Ling Baneling micro too.
Absolutely.
You almost always have to open up with Ling Baneling. And is there going to be some sort of pressure? Well, both of these players did that, and it snowballed, or rather it swung around from side to side, who had the drone lead and who didn't, and who could be aggressive. And then their transition into roaches as well, it was just smooth, so smooth.
Everything was so smooth. ZvZ is basically this knife fight, and you have to take small steps at a time. The better player you're playing against, or the more aggression is involved, the smaller steps you have to take at a time. And what we saw in the previous game, I was really amazed by how Firecake was able to leap forward slightly more than Solar in the drone count. So Firecake, he really knows how to get a solid economy going for himself. And I think seems like so far Solar might be up to a little bit of special tactics here, not going for that early circling speed.
Oh, and what do you think he's going to use that gas on instead? I mean, he's still mining gas at a pretty decent rate. In fact, has he taken...
We'll have to wait and see. We saw some, I wouldn't call this gasless because obviously Solar has gas, more like speedless. We saw that type of play on Arena from Nurtio in his series against Firecake, and it didn't go very well using Queens. And Firecake, against something like a gasless opening, he has the perfect response. He has a third base that is so fast that against a player that will have trouble securing his third base, Firecake can skyrocket ahead in economy with a build like this if he does call out the fact that Solar does not have circling speed on the way. I'm very curious to see what Solar is going to spend his resources on.
I have to say, getting that much gas without using it this early in ZvZ?
It feels a little bit weird to me because you... Oh, wow.
Oh, he's getting a lair now.
Quake lair. Could this be something like a Nidus all-in, possibly? I did play that tournament in China, and one of the builds that I actually lost to on this very map was a Nidus all-in off of 2 bases with roaches. And even in that game, I did take a fast third. But if you don't have enough roaches to defend with, you can still lose to a 2-base build like this. And Firecake, I have to say, right now, he does not know if this is a roach, it could be Muta, it could be anything. And I think Firecake maybe, just maybe, wants to put on a little bit of pressure on this double queen defense, try to break it apart so he can get the scouts. Can he do it though?
But seeing that those queens are blocking the way.
He sees the creep tumors. I would say this is a huge tell that this is not going to be some sort of Spire play. Usually if you go for Spire play, you have way less queens than usual, and seeing those 2 creep tumors drop there means that Solar has made a lot of queens. What usually goes with queens? Well, not exactly mutas. You want to have many drones and gases very quickly, but if you don't take those 4 gases quickly, that usually means roaches are involved, multiple queens involved. Well, what do you send through the Nidus? You send queens.
And you called it, Snoot. That is a Nidus network on the way, but Firecake.
I think Firecake is in an amazing position to take this game.
He's reacting very well. He's making roaches. He's
even if he invested in the Baneling Nest, even if he invested in the circling speed and the Baneling Nest, that Baneling Nest is actually a very valuable tool to Firecake right now if he knows about the tactic, how to make the Nidus Worm completely useless.
And he's still droning up quite a bit.
The Baneling deals so much damage to
the Nidus network.
Exactly. And if you turn on the automatic attack, and place the banelings right next to the worm. And here it is. There's no banelings here.
He's seen it though, he's seen it. He's pulled his queen over there. He's pulling the roaches.
The roaches slowly waddling over here. The drone's being pulled.
This is quite a committal by Firecake here.
And Solar is transitioning behind this, getting that third base. Queen's going out, transfusing the Nidus Worm. This is a massive attack, but Firecake targeting down the Nidus Worm.
Wow, this is so messy here. So many roaches by both players. But it looks...
Wow.
Oh, I don't even know who's winning here.
What is even happening here? Solar with the supply lead so far. The working count's very even. Solar putting down another Nidus Worm as well.
A Nidus network in the front now.
Nidus Worms aren't free. They cost money. They cost resources.
And Firecake holds up wave 1. But wave 2 is incoming.
And Firecake is making 11 drones behind this though. That might be a massive mistake.
Oh lord, and that is so many roaches.
He didn't expect this second Nidus Worm, and Firecake being as greedy as he showed in the first game, but this time it's going to backfire. He doesn't have the larva to spend the roaches. All those drones, they were just cancelled just now.
A counterattack by Firecake is happening with the Lings, but this is not the real worry. The worry is this amount of roaches inside his base.
So brutal here by Firecake. Didn't expect the second Nidus Worm, and Solar only making roaches from this point and out. He's going to crush this army from Firecake. He had the larva, but he made drones instead of roaches against the player that has a very late third base and the Nidus network. This is the brutal mistake, and Solar is punishing Firecake so badly.
Poor Firecake here. Thought he was out of danger, out of the woods, but no, Solar.
Firecake was ready to go for that finishing move, but instead it's Solar who's turning it around and executing the finishing move against Firecake.
And here he is. So many roaches here, doubling the supply of Firecake.
Can you believe it? So everything defended the first attack, but just like we've seen so many times in PvT with the Adept charging forward, Solar said, you know what? You stop my first attack. Doesn't matter. My second one is going to kill you.
The camera was just on Firecake then, and he was smiling after that. So I think he knows, man, I tried to be a little bit too greedy there.
I had this, and I like that he's smiling instead of having his head, you know.
Yeah, when you see players, they're very upset with their own mistakes, but this, the fact that he just didn't anticipate the wave 2 of the attack, it's not as if he blundered. It's not as if he's getting massively outplayed. It's just one decision crippled him.
And I think Firecake actually has a little bit of reason to be happy. Like, wow, you want to go for a 2-base all-in against me, the master of defense, you know, that type of thing? You cheeky boy, Solar. Like, how to say this? Like, Nidus Worm is so expensive, and if you do defend it correctly, Solar could have been in such a bad spot if Firecake didn't make those 11 drones.
If those 11 drones were, let's say, a good 8 roaches or so,
Firecake has to make more roaches, you know? Roaches is how you win ZvZ, especially in a situation like this. And he has to stay on top of his game sense. Like, maybe he could have sent Zerglings to the third base, seen the fact that Solar was in fact not making more drones.
And here, this is how Firecake dealt with the initial Nidus Worm, but as soon as this one dies...
I love that he target fired down the Nidus Worm with drones, but then he stops using the drones to attack the roaches, keeping that economic lead, not losing too many of the roaches. Very good with just a very nice control here from Firecake, but the big mistake we will see in the production tab a little bit later, right before this moment here, as Solar went for the second wave, punishing Firecake for holding down the wrong key.
That's all it takes. One mistake in StarCraft 2 and you're a goner at this level. But what a mistake it was.
It was a very good idea from Firecake. You hold off the Nidus. It's like, all right, I'm going to prepare for the next step. I'm going to make sure that I can finish this game in a proper manner. I'll get some drones, I'll get my roach speed, maybe I'll get my +1, and then I'll just push over you with a superior roach count. But Solar, with the cheeky second worm there, and the follow-up, Solar could have transitioned for all we know. But yeah, just a bit of a mistake there from Firecake.
One thing I've noticed, when you go for an all-in HOTS, it can be like an all-in and then you go back to macro play. What we've seen a lot in Legacy of Void is if you fail once, you go again with something just a little bit bigger. And people, I don't know if it's because the game's so new and people haven't figured out quite yet what they're doing or how to hold off all-ins correctly, but we've seen that in Lilbo's play a lot with the Adepts. But anyhow,
absolutely.
Going into this third game, spawning in the bottom right, as I read, currently 2-0. Can anybody stop him? It is Solar.
Looking very solid here so far, despite Firecake setting up a very good lead for himself in the early game usually. Here in the top of Prime Terraces, it is Firecake. on his very, very last life. Well, not in the tournament, but for this series, if he loses one more time, Solar will be the grand finalist. Firecake has to show his very, very best play here in order to bring this back.
And you know he's in the winner bracket final here. They're both in the winner bracket final. The loser will go on to face the winner of Parting and Showtime.
That's
now, doesn't really get a hell of a lot easier.
That's not a challenge you want to... I mean, Showtime is looking so scary in PvC. Parting as well, also scary in PvC.
Very different styles of PvC too.
Yeah, but either way, you don't want to drop down to that lower bracket.
No, and here we have both players expanding to the gold.
In slightly different fashion. Solar going for the hatchery first. That's going to allow him to do a drone transfer, get that economy going a little bit sooner than Firecake. Firecake going for the safe approach here with a spawning pool first, as usual. Seems to be very comfortable in doing this. And he will also have the possibility to drone transfer to that gold base a little bit later, of course. But for now, just making 2 scouting Zerglings, playing very, very safe. I have to commend Firecake. Despite opening so safely in every single game, he's always had very good opportunities for himself to build a situation where he's in a pretty good spot.
Certainly, like we've talked about how the spawning pool first, yes, it's safer. And he never really looks as if it pushes him.
It never looks like he invested into something that eats too much into his economy. But here we see the early drone transfer from Solar. Are these 2 Zerglings going to be able to disrupt the economy a whole lot? Here's the drone transfer from Firecake as well. But I do believe that Solar is the one with the advantage here so far. 2 Zerglings pop as well to fend these Zerglings off. Very good by Solar. A little bit of micro skirmish going down there. Firecake doesn't want to lose these links. They have a lot of utility.
Ha! First blood is drawn and Firecake runs away with a little victory there. But
Solar actually making 4 links to deal with that. And he's adding on 2 more, going up to 6. Firecake making 2 more Zerglings as well. But the big difference here in the build orders, Ben.
The tech. Why such an early Roach Warren? Is he just planning on playing the defender's role here?
We've seen this before, and sometimes we have seen the attacks hit so fast right before the roaches, but with build orders like this, you can actually go for a Roach Warren relatively early and still be safe, have them out in time before the Banelings. Roaches should be starting soon in this gold base of Solar, and Firecake going for a big Zergling Baneling swell.
Yeah, he doesn't plan on making this game last any longer than it should, and he's making a lot of lings. That is 20 lings in the production tab now, sticking on 20 workers, but Solar's actually reading this situation very well.
But the speed is complete. A few seconds and a couple of lings getting picked off here.
Oh, but Solar gets away just by the skin of his teeth there.
Now, Firecake will see the roaches, and I'm not sure how he's going to respond to this. Cancels the Banelings. This is not going to work, or will it? Solar, he could return to droning, but no, he keeps making roaches. And against Firecake right now, that will be the right decision, as he will be able to fend off this army. So far though, Zerglings getting dangerously close to Banelings, but beautiful sniping there as well from Solar, taking down all the Banelings.
Solar read this so well. He read this so well, he didn't drone up at all.
The Queen even helping a bit. And these roaches just standing strong. Solar with the perfect, how to say it, premonition here, making the Roach Warren, and Firecake fell right into Solar's trap. Almost desperate at this point, making 20 Zerglings at a time.
Yeah, this is not looking good. While their economies are fairly similar, the army of Solar is that much stronger.
It's just a higher technology army. Roaches, they beat Banelings pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean, you can have a lot of lings, but Solar's getting the next counter in the step. It's going to be a very, very short game here.
Oh, Solar getting a Baneling list of his own. A little bit of a curious choice there. Might want to go for some sort of offensive. I'm not sure. Maybe he saw how many Zerglings Firecake made. It's a little bit of an awkward choice from Solar here. But in general, it doesn't matter because it's just that far ahead in economy. Firecake, he's going to have to pull off something incredible to come back from here.
And Firecake did see the Banelings morphing in there. He has been making his own roaches. Solar, though, has been squeezing in a few extra drones, so has a slight drone lead, but it looks like Solar is going for it. That is a lot of lings on the way and already a lot of army on the field.
Solar going for a big attack using roaches and Banelings in combination against a similar army from Firecake, but Firecake was the one who tried to attack first, and Solar was the one defending with the superior technology and economy. Solar, just by the numbers, is ahead, and he wants to close it out with this big attack.
And that is a lot of Banelings running into the roaches of Firecake. They move forward.
Oh, the Banelings are going to force the drones of time, and they explode on all of them. Look at the supplies. Solar finally is making this look so easy, going for the grand finals here at DreamHack.
Man, oh man, Solar just decimated Firecake in this game. He read him beautifully, and I couldn't put it better. It was premonition or something, and GG. Solar 3-0s Firecake. Wow, he made that look good. And Firecake sits there, defeated, put up a nice fight in the first couple of games. Especially the first game looked ahead. But as the series went on, Solar was just reading him better and better.
Absolutely amazing. Straight up standard player from Solar with a little bit of special flavor to that last game with the early Roach Warren going up against the Baneling Nest and a beautiful, I wouldn't call it a blind counter or a soft counter or something like this, just a very interesting move against the pool expand. If Solar was going up against a one-base all-in, for example, going for that Roach Warren would be an unreasonable investment. But he saw what he was up against, chose the build order, made a lot of sense. Firecake fell into the trap, and here is the champion Solar. Let's see what he has to say. Take it away, Smex.
Two-time former DreamHack champion, and now you're in the third grand finals of a DreamHack. I mean, come on, Solar. I mean, this is absolutely amazing. What are your thoughts?
When I come here for DreamHack, and I'm very confident because there's not many good players, I think.
Wow, Solar dropping the bombs. Oh my God. Well, first of all, Solar, you've been saying again that ZvZ is a coin toss, you don't like it, but you've played 4 Zerg players at this tournament and you're 9-0 against them. That doesn't sound like a pretty fair coin toss unless you're the most luckiest guy in the world.
Yes, that's also, but I think my skills are better than Europe Zergs because of Korean power.
Korean power, okay. Some national pride right there. And there are 3 players left in this tournament that you might face in the grand finals. Of course, it's going to be either Showtime, Parting, or maybe Firecake if he does come out of that lower bracket. Now, you've already played Parting and Firecake, and you haven't played Showtime before. And Showtime has been showing a really impressive tournament performance so far. He's shown really great ZVP. What are your thoughts on these potential players, and who do you think will make it to the finals?
Showtime looks really good, and so I want to play versus him. How strong is he?
All right, well, maybe that might happen. I think that'd be absolutely amazing to see. And last but not least, you told me yesterday that you have practiced over 1,500 games of Legacy of the Void. That is absolutely insane. In fact, I was talking to Parting about this yesterday, and he was like, yeah, it's disgusting. He's like a machine, and he was talking about you like that. So what is motivating you? Do you just really want to be the first champion and dominant figure in Legacy of the Void, or what's driving you so hard?
It's just passion for my StarCraft 2. My life for Swarm.
All right, passion overwhelming. Congratulations, Solar will be our first grand finalist of the Legacy of the Void tournament here at DreamHack Winter.
Phenomenal play from Solar as he makes his way to the grand finals. I think it's fair to say that none of us are surprised at all by this.
Firecake made it look very close in game number 1 and game number 2, up until that simple mistakes. But that's against a player like Solar. Simple mistakes lose you games.
Doing a great job with that caster transition, Jens. DeMuslim, how
Well.
hard did Firecake get wrecked?
I mean, in that final, if all 3 games were like that final one, then very hard. But honestly, in the first game, there was this period of time where we were worried for Solar. Firecake had a good 40 supply advantage, a bank advantage as well. All it took was one bad fight to go Solar's way. And then in the second game, when he started making those like 10 or 11 drones upon Roach at his front door, just a few mistakes.
Mistakes cost games, they cost tournament runs. This big push coming in on Prion Terraces. What about it? What about Solar's play allows him to overcome these situations where it seems like he might actually lose a map?
He just knew what was happening.
In this game in particular, it was definitely the build order playing out very well. But I have to say as well, if Firecake, for example, would make only drones and stay a little bit defensive, then he could have gained an edge economically that way. But in general, Solar seems to have very strong build orders. Firecake does as well, but Solar, he didn't make the same type of mistakes as Firecake did in this series.
And he seemed to know exactly what was happening. Like, he didn't get to see the drone count of Firecake, but he didn't stop making units either. He made the Roach Warren. It was very preemptive of him. He made the right calls all the time.
All right. Apollo, any insight?
No, I think you guys have said almost everything there. I thought Solar was going to win as expected. I wonder who the right person to challenge him is, though. That's my biggest...
Showtime. He's the only one that hasn't tried so far.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Solar's looking so good. There's a big difference between him and everyone else at this tournament, I feel, even as much as I've given Showtime love.
I think that's pretty fair, just based on the games that he's put up. I still don't know. Like, we talk about Showtime playing against him, but our next match is going to be Showtime against Parting. Do you really think he's just going to wreck Parting? Like, to the point where you're just already talking about Showtime versus Solar?
He already did lose against Parting, but the thing, he's the only player that hasn't had the chance to go up against Solar yet. And with his record in the last 3 best-of-5s, he's 9-1 in maps against Zerg.
Yeah.
I think he's the guy to give it a go, if anybody is.
All right, that sounds pretty fair. So if we talk about Parting then, what about him why are we dismissing him then? For all of his accomplishments, for everything that we've seen of him. Well, you're dismissing him a little bit as well against
Just
Showtime.
because of that best-of-5 against Solar. Solar looked so convincing against Parting, so maybe Showtime is the one to give it a go this time.
Because sometimes it's not necessarily because you're playing bad or you're a bad player, because we know Parting isn't that. Sometimes you just might not have the correct builds in your arsenal to deal with it,
and
or the style.
Showtime is showing some very different styles, very different builds to what we saw from Parting.
All right. I think that's pretty fair. Any final comments?
I'm looking forward to this next match. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Showtime, but there is, for me at least, more belief in Showtime beating Parting than there was for Firecake to beat Solar.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think it'd be a lot more fair in that regard. I think you guys are talking about the pretty high win rates that Showtime had on the European ladder for PvP. I'm still really concerned because I feel like Parting should be able to come out on top against Showtime, but I'm kind of getting this feeling that you guys are giving me that like maybe Showtime he's the hero to step up and knock down Solar, but
yes, he is, Nate.
I don't know. He has to get through Parting first. That's going to be our next match here, ladies and gentlemen, at the ROCCAT Legacy of the Void Championships. We'll be going to that best of 5 after this short commercial break.